When Amma was diagnosed with cancer the second time, she had to move to Sydney to live with us. And I think I was 7 or 8 months pregnant at that time. And this time I thought, you know what, I've seen her go through chemo and radiation the last time, and I thought I was prepared. I was like, I just know how to tackle it this time. But I couldn't have been more wrong. This time she had these seizure episodes. We were already at the hospital for an appointment, and she was saying, I'm not feeling too well. And I just remember her just collapsing to the ground. She started to have this episode. And I think she was on the floor, unconscious, and the doctors were trying to retrieve her. And I remember thinking, this is it. We're going to lose Amma. I've never experienced anything like that or witnessed anything like that. I think it's probably the most scariest thing that happened to me. Throughout this process, no matter how scary or no matter how difficult it was, the first thing Amma would say when she comes out of those experiences or episodes is she would just reach out to God.
When the cancer returned the second time, the doctors tried a combination of chemo and immunotherapy for Mum. She even went on a trial, but every time they would give her the meds, it was only making her weaker and the treatment wasn't responding. They did a scan and the cancer actually grew bigger. So the doctor said, look, we tried everything we could, but it's not responding, so we're going to move her to palliative.
Amma is my best friend, and she goes out of her way to call me pretty much every day and tell me about her day-to-day gossip, goes out of her way to ask about my drama. So hearing about Amma's cancer was probably one of the hardest things, because I don't think I was ready to lose my best friend, and that made it extremely difficult. And knowing how she would feel, I felt that there wasn't anything me or my family could do to be there enough for her, and I think that was really hard.
We sat with the oncologist, and Amma asked the oncologist, how long will I have with my family? And she said, probably about a year, but we can't guarantee that. I wasn't ready to lose Amma, but at the same time, one side of me wanted to just prepare everything on the practical side. So we even did a photo shoot to capture all the moments with her.
I think one of the hardest things that we had to face was knowing that Amma couldn't make it through this time through the cancer, and knowing that came to reality after all her trials and tribulations that she couldn't, that the doctors said really that there was nothing they could do, that this was it for her. And when we heard that news, that made us lose faith.
Later, when we went for a follow-up, the doctor said we'll do a scan to see where things are at, and then so that it will help us to plan ahead. So I still remember when I answered the phone call, the kids were running around and I just picked up the phone. I was prepared to hear the worst. And then she said, there's no traces of cancer in your throat, nose, or the nasal area. I just couldn't process it because I was ready to hear the worst message. But she was like, there's no cancer. And I asked her, how is that even possible? What do you mean, doctor? Where did the cancer go? And she said, there's no residual disease is showing in the scan.
It was good to know that Amma still had faith, that didn't fail her. And because of that, we got to hear the news that there was no cancer. And even when I saw that message, I couldn't believe it. I had to call everyone to make sure it was real. And to finally hear those words, I'm grateful that she had faith, that kept her going, and that came out with this miraculous outcome that none of us would have expected.
Her faith is something that I've never experienced, and I think I'm a bit embarrassed to say it, but I don't think throughout the process I was trying to be a bit more practical. I was like, this time, we have this much of time. we're not going to have Amma for too long, and I was just trying to keep her happy for the time we had with her. But Amma, she would just say, she's like, I've just left everything to God. And I've never experienced faith like that. And every time I think about it, I just remember David and Goliath. I think cancer was Amma's Goliath. And I think it's 1 Samuel 17:45. David says to Goliath, you come to me with the weapons, but I come to you in the name of the Lord. And that's how I see Amma fighting the whole process. She held on to God, and that's what saved her. And her faith was the stone that she had, and she killed cancer with it. I don't think anyone expected Amma to come out of this like this, but she came out of it so strong. But just because she had God by her side, and she fought the whole thing with God and with her faith.
The doctors, the medicine, everything failed Amma, but God didn't. He spoke life into her. The sovereign Lord says to these bones, I will make breath enter you, and you will come to life.
எத்தனை முறையோ இதை வார்த்தையால் பிறரிடம் வர்ணிக்க நினைத்தேன் அத்தனை முறையும் திக்குமுக்காய் ஆடி போனேன் தோல்வியின் கடையாந்திரம் பார்த்தவன் கண்ணீரை தேக்கி உருகி நின்றவன் அழகாய் அவரின் நிழலில் நின்றவன் இதுதான் வாழ்க்கையின் அழகே கடும் புயலே